Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for the full moon in Taurus, which is going to take place on October 24th, 12:45 p.m. Eastern. Times will vary. Yeah, much better. I can start wearing the new glasses. Okay, so this is a humdinger. The guys are checking in already, because humdinger is also it's not a word I usually use, but I think it's apropos here. It is a humdinger, okay? We got this huge cross. It's all squaring the nodes, and it's at these 0 and 1, well, it's at 1 degree of Taurus, officially. But, you know, it's the zeros here, it's those cusps, it's the precipice of change. Now, you know, most of us have probably heard, or maybe not, but, you know, the 29 degrees is the critical degree. Because of 29, and then it turns to 0. That's the last degree before a sign turns 0 again. And that's like this intense thing. But also, I just need a drink of water, excuse me. That's 0 degrees. That's 0 degrees. It's this shift, it's this change in energy. There is so much shift. I just got done doing the November tarot sculpts, which are available for patrons if you're interested. But there's so much shifting energy. In November, it's going to be crazy what's going on. And we'll talk a lot about that at that new moon in Scorpio, but this is, leading up to it. You know, we've got, so the actual moon position itself is conjunct Uranus. So that's just like crazy. Anything can happen. And it's very close in the United States to Halloween, you know, so it could be some wild ass Halloween parties going on for sure. And then it's opposing the sun, of course, that's why it's a full moon. And it's with the Venus is conjunct there in 4 degrees. And then it's squaring off with these nodes here. So they're all these low degrees. It's all a time of shifting and changing. And it's kind of topsy-turvy. Oh, there's another fun word. I think my guides are kind of old-fashioned. At least the ones that are showing up today seem to be. Some of them are really rock and roll that sent me the lyrics, but I think the old-fashioned ones are showing up today because things are topsy-turvy with Uranus. That's right, boys and girls. Things are going to be topsy-turvy. But anyways, back to this. Yeah, so, but the thing is, the nodes aren't moving retrograde, they're moving backwards. So they're about to go 29 Cancer Capricorn. They're going to shift that way. And then these have just shifted for coming the other way. So it's going this way, and it's going this way, and it's going, it's, I don't know what, centrifugal force or something. But, and the Uranus too, it's unsettling. It's shifty, even though it's the fixed signs. You know, the fixed signs are very fixed. You know, that's like, they plant the flag, they're fixed in their opinions, beliefs, and they don't like change. But change is afoot here. Change is so afoot. Full moon in Uranus. I mean, full moon in Taurus. Let's address that for a second first. So, Taurus, you know, is the Earth. Well, it's money too. I mean, it's the financial systems and it's money. But to me, I always go for that. It's the Earth thing. That's the way I always. Because, you know, I've always got along really well with Tauruses and had many Taurus friends and partners and stuff. And I've never known them to be extremely materialistic. I think that's kind of a bad rap. But I always go I gravitate more towards the Venus expression itself through art and music. Most of them are very musical, that's the part. But they all love camping and just basic, simple things, you know. A lot of bikers I know are Taurus. You know, it's just kind of this simple, it's not having to have all this material possessions. It's more living close to the land, as long as their needs are met, you know, kicking back and relaxing and being mellow and stuff like that. Like food too. Food is a biggie. So Uranus is in that sector. So there could be shakeups and revolutions in the monetary systems. Be interesting to see what the stock market or the different markets did on that day, will do on that day. And but it's food, it's earth, it's getting back to the land. I feel it's environmental. You know, I feel stronger leaning towards environmental, and there has been so much hurricanes and mudslides and just you know, a lot of crazy earth events are happening, and so this could be more. You know, I'll be honest, like this could be more of that kind of stuff. The Venus with the Sun, though, that's nice. And this whole stellium in Scorpio over here. Mercury with Jupiter. So good news could be coming. You know, the Venus, it's going to give it, Venus being the ruler of Taurus, where the new moon and Uranus are. It's the rulership over here. Rules. So it's affected again. It intensifies that Venetian or Venusian energy. And in the sign of Scorpio, now I have Venus in Scorpio natally, actually. And so do my daughters. And that gets a bad rap too. You know, that's, oh, it's, whatever. The ruthless woman, all this, you know, crazy stuff. And, you know, that can be, so maybe I can't really give an unbiased opinion of the Venus in Scorpio. But, I find it, well, let's look at it from a bigger perspective for general, not as a personal planet, a personal placement. So, you know, the Scorpio is death and change. So it's kind of reinforcing that there could be big turnabouts and big changes. Changes in the air. A revolution is afoot, they're saying. Okay? It's afoot. Chiron is tied into this also because it's making that odd inconjunct thing here too. Chiron going back into Pisces is a huge deal, you know. It dipped into Aries for a minute there, now it's gone back into Pisces, and so there's more of this, the deep exploring of old wounds through our lineage and through our past lives in, you know, in this life, you know, earlier repressed memories, you know, or even not repressed, things that have tried to be repressed, you know, the coming to the surface. Even if they weren't repressed by you or whoever, you know, that society or the family or whoever has tried to, you know, suppress or put down. You know, it's not, this isn't a bad thing, but I remember like being a psychic child. You know, I made a video about it a long time ago, and you know, my mom would always, well, you were dreaming. She always told me, oh, you were just dreaming, you know. And I know the difference between a dream. I didn't know what to call it then, but it was what a dream and a download or a dream and a psychic vision is. It's completely two different things, okay? Or a dream and a fantasy, you know, or you know, psychic download and a fantasy. I was just talking about that with somebody else, you know. When you get a vision, it's not your fantasy or your wish. It's just it's a download, you know. So I was getting downloads, but not, and I'm not saying that was a bad thing in my case. I feel like she was trying to protect me. She didn't want me to be a crazy weirdo like her mother, like my grandmother, you know, a crazy psychic weirdo. So she was trying to make me more normal, you know. It was a protective mama bear thing on her part, I think. But you know, there's people that'll try to say, oh no, it wasn't, it was this. Or just like the whole fake news thing now. Oh, that's fake news, that's fake news, that's fake news. When you know full and well that, it, you know, and then it's that where you start to, with the 12th house and the Pisces, it's this old stuff. So you start to remember and remember. There was another instance of my daughter, I remember her saying that her and her father had this story about him teaching how to ride a bike, and it was this family story but with them for all these years, and I said, no, remember we went and blah blah blah, and I explained all this stuff. She goes, oh God, I do remember that. So this whole time she thought her father told her to ride a bike, but here it was really, you know. So that's not a, you know, necessarily a suppression, but these falsehoods or these you know, the water or the blanket that's laid over. That's the way it's being shown to me, like a blanket, you know. Oh no, it was just a dream, or oh yeah, it was this or it was that, you know. Oh, it's really this or it's that. That after a while just becomes the truth, but that other stuff is still there. It just really can't be And, you know, it might be tying into some of this Mandela effect, too, stuff, even a little. You know, that some of it, but some of the stuff that they cite with the, I mean, I believe that. I believe we're shifting timelines and everything. But some of the examples, like the Bernstein Bears, I have a distinct memory of being in doing a book report or something in elementary school, and it being pointed out to me that I spelled it wrong. The Bernstein, you know, it was underlined or whatever. And I don't think it was a timeline jump. I just think that's the more common spelling on that one, and people make that assumption. And then Sex and the City, too, is another one that I think it just sort of sounds the same, you know, Sex in the City, Sex and the City. And then there's a third one that I think has some holes in it. Oh, the Mandela one itself. There was a rumor going around that he had been murdered in prison, and I think that's the thing that people attach to. But I do believe that timelines have shifted, but I think some of these examples that are often thrown out there with that are, you know, maybe they're not as solid evidence as people would like to say they were, but whatever. You know, it's like that, though. This falsehood, this truth, this untruth, this cover-up. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell me. Cover up, cover up. Yeah. So cover-ups could be revealed, I think. Maybe that's what they're trying to say. And a lot of times it's not an intent, we're going to have a cover-up. Yeah, my evil plan. We're going to do this cover-up, you know. A lot of times it's just like my mom, she was just trying to protect me. Like, don't tell people about that stuff, you know. It was just a dream, you know. And then she did, you know, or I saw lights around my hands and stuff, or... Well, my grandmother explained to me that it was aura. My mom's just like, you know, don't go telling people that stuff. You know, her crazy little whatever child that I was. But, you know, and again, so it's not always, you know, this malicious plan, the evil plot, the whoever, the Illuminatis and all those guys or whatever. You know, sometimes it's just it happens, you know. And there's that old saying, like, there's three versions of the truth. Your version, my version, and then what really happened. And that's, I think, you know, with Uranus, too, that's one of the great things about being in this digital age, you know. Is let's just look at the tape. We could sit here and argue about it all day, but we can just go watch it, because half the time things are on tape, you know, or let's just read it, you know. It's not he said, she said, or they said, we said. It's in writing, you know. Let's just go check the text, or check the Facebook post, or whatever, you know, Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you know. It's right there, black. It's there, you know. And I know those can be edited, but it's much easier than the old way. It's not as easy to do that cover over or wash over as it was before, and that's why it's so crazy that there's so much on both sides of the political issue now about the fake news thing and the lies, and that when it's you know, easier than ever to verify and check facts, and things are, you know, but I don't want to get off on that tangent. But it's a shifting, times they are changing. Oh yeah. There's a Dylan, right? Bob Dylan. Okay, I think the rock and roll guys are showing up now. Okay. The other thing it's doing is it's trining Saturn here. Yeah, it's trining Saturn. So to me that would say that, well, Saturn is always to me long-standing, societal, patriarchal. So my first thought was that the changes that are made could be long-standing, could solidify into a new foundation and a new solid future. You know, have future solidify, or whatever I'm trying to say. You know, future be long-standing, be long-lasting. You know, have lasting value, or lasting. You know, have lasting effects. Okay, but also with the Saturn, you know, it goes back too. And with the Chiron being in all this, you know, it goes back. So it could be revolting against long-standing things that have been in place for a very long-standing time. And Saturn is the patriarchy. And I said this before, you know, patriarchy and all that. It's not the he-man men haters. You know, we're not hating on men, and that would never be my love, men, and that would never be my intention, or You know, that's not, I think that some people feel threatened by that, you know, like they think we're all coming with our pitchforks to kill the man, especially the white man, you know, we're going to come and take over and kill, you know, rise up and kill you. And that's not the case at all. You know, people just want a seat at the table. People just want input into it, you know. And, you know, I think that that's this underlying anxiety that is felt by a lot of many of the patriarchy, or people that are supportive of this long-standing, you know, white boys club deal, you know, frat boy, white boys clubs or whatever. Again, I don't want to get too political, so let's move on. Saturn's conjunct the ascendant in the actual chart. I always run the flat chart because it's easier. The flat chart meaning putting 0 Aries and 0 on all these things. But in the actual chart, it shows me here on the thing, the grid, aspectarian, that Saturn would be on the ascendant. So that's interesting because the ascendant rules the whole chart. The ascendant is the whole outlook. That even gives that Saturn energy even more oomph, or more, it becomes the predominant energy. You know, it gives it more, you know, well, the moon itself is the predominant energy, but the Saturn comes in a close second. Then let's see what else we got going on. Look at all these squares. That's that Grand Cross here. Uranus conjunct opposed Venus. Yeah, we talked about all that. Saturn trine the moon, right? Venus sextile Saturn. Yeah, Saturn's involved in it all over the place here. You know, let's look at, because this doesn't have the asteroids. Let's see if anything is going on with these asteroids. We got a 24 Virgo. Pallas opposed Chiron here. So that's pretty, and Juno's getting ready to make a move too into, well, she's retrograding, but she's at 29 Taurus. Now 29 Taurus, that's a specific critical degree, and it has to do with, that's the losing of the head. And in the old days, people who would have this aspect often would end up being beheaded, you know, to the guillotine or whatever it may be. And then there's a famous case of, I think it was Jane Mansfield in the modern era. Well, not even modern era anymore, but you know, in the 20th century, who had the 29 Taurus, and she was decapitated in a car accident or something. I think it slammed into a truck and something came out and cut off her head. So, I mean, in the modern era, they say, well, it's not, people aren't going to the guillotine, or, you know, in some countries I know there's still beheadings. I mean, I hope that wouldn't be what would show up here with this, like another one of those beheadings. That's too much to handle. But the other way is losing your head, like in a metaphor, you know, in a metaphor. Like, you know, you go overboard, you lose your head. Don't lose your head. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Don't get nuts. Let's go. But anyways, back to the reading. So we got some higher degree stuff going on here. And with Jupiter. Here, Jupiter's trining Chiron. Now let's talk about that. That's a big one that's not in here. That's pretty big. And these asteroids are in here too. We've got Juno, the goddess of love and beauty, the queen of the gods, very similar to Venusian Venus energy. Pallas Athena, kind of like an Aries energy, but also very mentally quick and agile, inventive, like an Aquarius energy. What else is got any other big high numbers here? No, and then Chiron. So Jupiter with the Chiron, you know, Jupiter's going to bring that up. That's going to enhance that. It's going to, you know, it's like once and for all. You know, what they're showing me now is like somebody who's, you're trying to drown them almost, you know, like somebody's, I said drown, and the whole thing, like somebody's trying to come up for air, and no, and then they're just like, you know, the Jupiter's like, I won't be pushed underwater. I won't be pressed down. Oh, there's a song. It came and it went. I won't be something. I missed it. It was a song or a poem. Came and went. Sorry, I missed it. What's Mars doing over here? Mars is unaspected. Is it hitting any of the asteroid? What's with Pluto? It's doing the semi-sextile or whatever. Yeah, you know, we're in this big period of change, and it has to do, this is long-range stuff with the Saturn and Pluto. And it is the patriarchy, and it is, it's with the Vesta here. Vesta's sandwiched in between these two big guns here. Vesta, I think, I've said this before too, is I think it's the true ruler of Virgo. I think that'll come out at some point. Just the virgin of it anyway, but Vesta was really strong and powerful too, and formidable. Vesta is very formidable, and she's standing between these two massive powers, you know. I don't know, and it's this symbol, something about this symbol, it just really reminds me of, I don't know what though, but it's like maybe a hieroglyph or something, or like it's a power symbol or something, you know. It's just like, it's just really kind of, I don't know how to explain it, it's just sort of popping at me, and I don't really know why or what it means, but it feels like it's so powerful, and it feels like, even though she's this lowly little asteroid, that she is just as powerful, or ready to, you know, can stand her ground. She can stand her ground amidst this, you know, fury and anger and power struggle and, you know, all this stuff that's happening here. But she does it with silence, almost silently, or with dignity and grace, and with it's an inner power, and that is like a Virgo energy too. Although I know it's in Capricorn, we don't have to comment on that. I'm talking about that I feel how Vesta is really truly going to be the ruler of Virgo. That's a Virgo thing. You know, Virgos are very tough and resilient, and they, you know, they keep things together, and they stand their ground, and they're unwavering, you know, and that's the vibe that I really get out of this. And I just think that this is such a nice, it's so understated, you know, to your average. Some people don't even use the asteroids. Most people don't, I think. And, you know, it's just like, well, it's just this little asteroid. It's not even worthy of being in the aspectarian over here, you know. But it's not. It's much more than that. It's formidable. That's the word I really want to say. It's formidable, and it's present, and it's there, and it's unmovable. Maybe not unmovable, but they can't shake her up. They can't knock her off balance. It's pivoting on this perfect point of balance that's perfect, and it can't be knocked off its pivot or its fulcrum or whatever that is. Speaking of powerful women, what's our Lilith doing over here? Lilith's involved with the Venus, squaring off with the Venus. So there's this big surge, and the moon, of course, is lunar, feminine, but there's a big surge of feminine power. You know, this Uranus could really be fueling that too. Uranus to the moon on this full moon. It's powerful full moon with the square to the nose and everything. You know, it's at times they are changing. I just keep hearing that, Bob Dylan. So I think we're really in that. At times are changing. I think that even though this is Taurus, and you think of Taurus as so earthy and not changeable, because the Uranus is in there, because of the critical degrees involved, the 0s and 1s and the 29s and everything, it's pretty crazy. Changes is like the death card in the tarot, and like the Scorpio energy, which rolls over that. It's, you know, it doesn't come without, you know, I don't know the word, but shake-ups, you know, things get shaken up. And it's change, it's unpredictable with Uranus. So, you know, there's things that will change, and maybe you feel like, oh, well, good, we're going to get our way. What I'm trying to convey here is I feel like nobody's going to really get their way. Nobody will. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Nobody's going to get their way. So if you think, well, we're going to take down the if you're one that is toting your pitchfork, and you know, it's not going to be like that, you know. Or if you're one that's like, oh, they're coming to get me, and we're going to, you know, we're going to stop it. It's not going to be like that either. Changes are happening, but no one's going to get 100% of what they want. And that's the thing that we have to respect and accept. And that's the thing that's wrong with a lot of things in society. You know, well, if it's not 100% exactly who I want, and this law isn't written exactly how I want, I don't like this part of it, then I just won't vote at all, or I'm not going to participate, or I'll just throw my vote, you know. And that's just voting, but it's a lot of things in life, you know, because we're so catered to and so pampered, I think. And that's a Taurus thing, too. Tauruses like to be pampered and catered to. So, you know, and we are, especially in the Western world, particularly as Americans, you know, we're so, you know, we are. Think about it, you know. When you go to some of these other countries, you know, like just walk in one of our grocery stores, you know, it's just like every freaking kind of, you know, condiment, like say mustard. There's 50 different kinds of mustards, you know, and there's this and that and this and that, and you know, some places wouldn't carry mustard at all, or there might be, you know, if there is, there's just one kind, and they're happy to have it, you know. So if you don't have, do you have my Grey Poupon? Or what was that commercial where they rolled down the window with about the Grey Poupon or something? I don't know. That popped into my brain. But, you know, we got to loosen up a little bit on stuff. We got to learn how to compromise, you know. This is some fixed stuff. And change is good. And moving in the general vicinity is better than being stuck in a fixed spot, you know. Moving in the right direction. Yeah, there's many things, you know. My big thing is always healthcare. You know, we need universal healthcare. Finally, we're starting to use stem cells. People were fighting stem cells forever. It's like, why? You know, why do we have to have people suffering? If nothing else, we should be humanitarian enough to give people health care, you know. And that's a moon thing, too. That's a, you know, nurture, a lunar thing. It's really Virgo. It's Virgo health care, I would say. But the moon is like the Empress in the tarot. It's the nurturer. It's the mother. You know, we take care of, we feed, and we make sure we have health. They're healthy and fed, you know. That's what we should do first. And then the rest is whatever. Again, I keep going towards politics because that election is drawing near, I think. But it's not even that, it's not political necessarily. I'm just talking about general mindsets. You know, general. And remember, you know, before, because there's a lot of people that I've been friends with for years, and I'm really shocked by their political views and stuff. But I'm trying to remember that we were always friends, you know. We were always friends. We always got along, you know. It's unfortunate, maybe, or whatever, that they, you know, whatever, we disagree. Let's just not say it's unfortunate. We disagree, and that's unfortunate. But there's so many things, you know, to find that common ground, find a way to work together, find a way to go forward and make compromises where everyone gets a little bit. And I think it's going to be less and less by the time we're done dealing with this Capricorn, Pluto and, sorry about that, Pluto and Saturn through the Capricorn. It's going to be less and less based on corporate needs and more based on human emotional needs. My dog's crying, I'm not sure why. Okay, so I'm going to go see what's going on with him. I think he has to go out. So that about wraps it up. I'm not open for any special readings at the moment, although I will be another week or so, maybe the last week in October. I'll be opening up for the year ahead. Somebody was asking about specifically astrology readings. I only do those. I do those bi-wheel transit forecast. See your chart. I only do those on the quarters, so on the ingresses. And I'm probably not going to do a winter one because I'm just going to do the year ahead, so it won't be available till the spring. But if you want an astrology look at your chart, I do the past life, the soul's journey reading. And that's pretty intense, and it looks at a lot of, it's a psychic reading where I look at your chart and I tune into your life's purpose through your chart. Not unlike what I do here, although this is sort of predictive. This is sort of like an energy forecast. It's not predictive at all. But I have tarot readings and other stuff available. And don't forget the Astro Art, which is art based on your chart. And please check out my website, rockandvickieverly.com. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to catch up on the latest videos. So this is the full moon in Taurus. It's very changeable. Maybe that Taurus energy and the Saturn and Cap will kind of ground it in a little bit, hopefully. But hold on to your, whatever, bootstraps. Because it's pretty intense. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great full moon in Taurus. And this next one, this new moon in Scorpio, is going to be, I was looking at it a little bit. There's so much happening. That's going to be, talk about change. So this is dipping our toe in the water. And then look out, this next one, it's crazy, because Jupiter will be changing signs like that day. The nodes are changing sign like that day. And there's a new moon in Scorpio, so it's going to be crazy. So we'll get to that in a couple weeks. Thanks so much again for tuning in. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate. I'll speak to you soon.